apologize for that.
Oh no, probably I'm in the mountains. It's probably my crappy reception.
No.
It's definitely us.
It's us.
That's right.
We apologize for that. So, getting back to, I think you were just about to talk about how you met Paul and started going on some investigations with him.
Yeah. So I looked around for people that were doing it for real, and I found Paul, and before I even did, we just were talking, and I realized that hey, here's a guy that's like really prolific at this. Like he's forgot more about stuff than I know. So he's like, yeah, come on, some investigations. And so one thing I was impressed by was that you would have all these like armchair investigators and ufologists, people that would come, and they want to run the show how they want to run it. Like they have these ideas, and Paul would always say to me, hey man, listen, if that's what they want to do, they can just get their own group, and like he would crack me up because like he was always like nothing but and he knew exactly. He had when we would come in, there was a formula. Like you could, I like when people do something so much that you have to sit back and learn, and you'll get like the good details. He doesn't have to say, hey, now you do this, you do that. Now he's coming in. If you watch, you can see, and so. With the cleansings, and then studying. If you study yourself and you're interested, and that's what you do. You get whatever certifications or whatever studying you want to do. But Paul is prolific. He's always writing. I mean, he would write the book almost before we even got out of the place. By the time that night came, he would have the stuff edited. On his way to finish that book will be finished in a week. And definitely magazine articles are nothing. Like that used to blow my mind. And at the same time, it wasn't discouraging. But like I would do episodes, and he's like, "Come on, Zanti, man, you gotta put him out, man." And when somebody like that tells you that, you can't be like, well, "What are you doing?" Because he's doing it.
Walking the walk.
Yeah. And so that was it was a lot of valuable things, and then so many other things that I'm sure you probably learned, and so we've been doing it it's been years now, and I've learned so much, and during that whole time, I never stopped, with the, but I try to have fun with it because, I know these people are getting serious. They're getting signed up with the cons. 1 minute, you're serious. Next minute, you got a guitar and you got like 5 blondes at the con and everything. No offense against it or anything. I'm just saying, I don't know which way I would go with that,
When you were first started the podcast, and I was asking you about the people that you weren't quite sure whether it was legit or not, the one woman in particular that you started talking about, and we somehow ended up here. But going back to that, when you actually have to handle a situation like that, you mentioned like going into I guess a religion, or using in order to do a cleansing or get rid of a spirit like a succubus, you have to be all in. Can you, is that the Judeo-Christian route? Is that through Jesus? That is God? Like, can you explain it, just a little bit anyway? How's that done?
Okay. Well, for me, I am a Christian, but I do respect all, denominations. I was raised, I grew up in San Francisco. I mean, we had Krishnas, I had Buddhists, my friends chant, Jehovah's Witness right across. I mean, I respect everybody, but from what I believe, what I was telling her, and she was a Christian, so that's why I was dealing with her on that basis. But I told her, if you want to get rid of that succubus, which is within the pantheon, the Abrahamic pantheon that we're part of, you're gonna have to step into your God's light. You're gonna have to step into that more, your faith, and. There's a verse in Romans where Jesus said, "I never knew you." Like it was a gentleman saying, "Yeah, I did everything you asked. I volunteered. What he meant is like follow the ways, law. Like if you're not, you could volunteer. I mean, for sure. But if you're not really being kind, like if you have $5 and you gave somebody $2, don't worry about it. If I had a coat, and I gave it to, I gave my coat to a person, all I had was a tank top, but he didn't have any clothes at all. They were. From that perspective, as far as a Christian, I was talking to her, hey, walking the walk. So if you get into your faith for real, and that succubus can't take a foothold. You can't the entity like that, when you're filled with real God, with your real light, then that's when you can shake it. But if you're in between, because a lot of people, well, I know I do have an episode, Paranormal Soul Brother, season 2, episode 2. The lady that I was dealing with, she had a succubus. She was much in the same. Hers was actually real. She really had some real things going on, but because of that same nature, going back and forth, she was never able to shake it. But so I do mean stepping forward, but I do believe that you can step into whatever faith, because don't get me wrong, if you look at the pantheon of say like the Jinn, if you look at yeah, I mean, let's take the movie Exorcist for example. The demon that they had in The Exorcist, that actually was a Mesopotamian demon. The thing of it is you use that demon in Mesopotamia to affect the pregnancy, good or bad, whereas in Catholicism, you don't have a demon with a history and an incantation or a ritual to summon it like you would like a jinn, but you still can have a use for that. If that's what you are. So if she wanted to get rid of that succubus, I do believe if she in her heart believed and what she believed, that maybe she could come with the counter. I mean, I'm not, because I don't want to rule other people's religion out just because, I had a certain syntax or certain words in a book that I know is wrong too. And I'll give you an example. Even though I like the Bible, I read the Sefer, which is a Hebrew Bible. It's even older text. It's translated. It's got the apocryphy in it, but it's still got a few footnotes. It's been rewritten, and when I was reading it, I realized that Moses was fighting the king of Persia, who was King Artashasta, King Xerxes, from the King Xerxes and Darius. Well, Xerxes is what you saw in 300. That
Persia, right?
He wasn't like that. But anyway, the king of Persia at that time, they had already had a savior, Mithras, who was born December 25th, had disciples, was resurrected, and they had Ahura Mazda and Ahura Ben Azat, which was their trinity. So they were fighting Moses, they had yet to have that in the New Testament. So I thought that was pretty ironic, and it's ironic that they were the tribe that said, hey, you know what, in our lands, the Israelites, you guys can go ahead and build the first and second temple, because you know what, you're more like us. We believe in one God. We don't sacrifice our kids and do all this weird other, deviant stuff. So you're more like us, come over here. So it was one of those type of things. Because the brothers in Babylon, they was doing some Marduk stuff, And so, but if you tell somebody, my God is better than your God, those are fighting words,
But you brought up a great point about the Mithra and Ahura Mazda, even Krishna. These are all examples of deities, saviors, who basically look a whole lot like Jesus when it comes to the birthdays, born of a virgin, crucified and died, resurrected on the third day. There's a whole lot of similarities between them. It seems like the universal Messiah, if you want to call it that type of thing.
That's a good point.
But on the other thing that you mentioned too, I want to touch upon is that the Catholics, and I guess I'm pulling a lot from The Exorcist. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid, but it seems even in the movie, she took her child to medical doctors, to psychiatrists, to all sorts of people, and what did they end up telling her in the end? Go see a Catholic priest. They're the only people we know of that have experience with this kind of thing. So is that true? I was born and raised Catholic, so I don't know. Is there a history of exorcism in other religions, or is that?
Oh, definitely. No, most definitely. Matter of fact, there's so much demonology, right? Matter of fact, there's what they call the not Elohim, but Elohinin technology. Like they'll talk about pantheons from Mesopotamia, from Greece, from Iran, Iraq. Like they all had their demons. Although 2,400 entities with the say on the demon side, say Sumerian, like or Indian, you could have 2,400 different type of demons with history and everything. But there are ways to counter them, ways to summon them, who they came from, and how to counter them. Yeah, so maybe you don't call it an exorcism, but you call it a because in the exorcism, like I said, the demon that actually that they were using.
Baal?
No,
I know that she called him Captain Howdy, and then I thought he found the figurine of Baal when the priest did when he was in the Middle East.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that about Baal. Well, because it's the tip of my tongue. But the demon that they were exorcising, they called upon the name of a demon that in Mesopotamia and Babylon was used to. If you're having a baby, somebody can say, "I don't like that person," and affect the baby, or they can say, "Hey, I really want that baby to come through." Somebody put a curse on me, and you overpower that demon. So they do stuff like that. We don't do that in Christianity or the Catholic Church. We don't use, but that demon, ironically, was one they were doing. But now, when you say Baal or Baal, the thing about Baal, when you think of Baal,
Azuzu.
Right.
Azuzu was.
Yes, Azuzu. That's right. Thank you. Azuzu is a Mesopotamian demon. Okay, Azuzu is not like a normal what we would do. But when I said Baal or Baal, people said different. But the thing about that was local chapters. That could be like Paul, of Elk Grove, so and so of San Francisco. Baal. There were chapters where you would have your religion. If you're an Israelite or you're a Christian, you would go by these places. Not Christian, but if you were in those, you would go by these places. And I'm talking about Old Testament. You would go by these places where there'll be women that would lure you into their fertility cult with sex. So a lot of times that was really a really big problem, which people need to understand is because Samyaza and all those fallen angels, they fell behind sex, drugs, and maybe not rock and roll, but they definitely had music. Okay, they had. And when I say drugs, because Samyaza and them not only, so the sex was making this being, God, Yahweh, whoever you want to call him, was making this being mad because he had already dealt with these people in eternity in heaven doing the stuff. If you look at Enoch going through the heavens, you see there was prisons of crystal, like the angel Gabriel said to, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Man, this is beautiful, but it's terrifying." You're like, "What you mean?" He says, "Yeah, those are prisons." There's been people that transgressed up there, but so when they got down here, they had this palace thing. That the fallen angels, the angel, just whatever, the angels on earth would go to this palace. It's like a sex palace, and they would do everything you could think of, every position, every toy, anything you could think of. And when the women would come there, they tell them, "Hey, listen, no clothes. We want you to wear glitter, okay? And we got this thing called rouge. So when you come back in here, no clothes. We want you to have this glitter and this rouge." So they'd have sex. And the way further research would describe is, yeah, they didn't have a body like us per se. They could manifest, but they had something. They'd have the ladies, and they'd tell them how to sit on their lap, and it would swim up their thigh, up their thigh. This is how their thing worked. It was much like a snake. So they would tell them to do this, and they said, "Hey, listen, we want you to go in the wild, gather herbs, gather roots." So when they say gather herbs, they say gather roots, grind and cocaine, go ahead, gather mushrooms, hallucinogens. So when they came back, they said, "Now, when we did it the first time, it was good, but now it's thrice as good." I mean, they were cutting. I mean, they were doing their thing. So also, they could talk to animals as well. The secrets that they learned in heaven, that Enoch learned, the same things they learned. Maybe not all of them. Some of it probated mysteries from the way they researched this, but they were, when you're doing it like that. Also, they could talk to the animals. So they ordered 200 of different animals to where they want to do progenesis. They want to start races, different creatures with them as well. Not just the human women. Just people aren't, privy. Some people haven't really read about that now. Is it real? It's in the Book of Giants. Some of the Nagamati. There's a lot going on with what we're doing today behind the sex and the Baal cult. So you're telling me about Baal. So Baal not just being one god, but being like entities. Because it'd be like Baal of San Jose, Baal of San Jose, Ball of Sacramento. You know, and each was doing things a little different, but doing the sacrifices and doing the fertility sex sex thing.
It was almost like a title more than an individual.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Like
yeah,
Caesar.
yeah, more like that.
Absolutely.
And speaking of Caesar, when you said Caesar, how come people believe stuff about Caesar, but and the way it was written down and remembered, but there's other stuff right around that they say, hey, well, we don't know about this or that. That's kind of ironic. But what were you about to say, Paul? I think I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Some of the information that you're putting out there. Yeah, it's just it's mind blowing. And all these different religions do have a way to expel these demons. So they all have their different ways and stuff like that. And with the investigations that you've been on with me, we
Yes,
do
sir.
respect any type of religion. And at one time, HPI, we had people that were able to do cleansings, Native American, Greek Orthodox, Christian, Catholic, which was me doing that. We had Buddha, and what else did we have? I forget what the other. Oh, Hindu. So, yeah, we respect all religions, whatever you believe in, and that's how we will try to expel a demon from your home. So
Paul, were you in there with the holy water? The power of Christ compels you. You know that. Just like that.
No, not like that. I actually do.
Kinda. Paul he has been known to spread some holy water and come in with a big cross.
I do have a big cross. I do have holy water, but my way of expelling a demon, you go from the back of the house to the front of the house and expel it from the front of the house. So
you're like pushing them out.
Yeah, you're pushing them out, right? And
Paul knows all that stuff. See?
And I do like 4 winds prayers and all this other stuff. Yeah. But and what's so funny is because I've been very successful with that, and I do a full submersion baptism, which is a basic form of exorcism, and a lot of people don't realize that. And when I first started it, I doubted myself. I said, God, is this going to really work? And sure enough, I would get a phone call, hey, Paul, your baptism worked. I don't have that demonic attachment anymore. So, yeah, it's some good stuff. But anyway, Zandine, I know we're like short on time, but I want also to talk about your UFO hunts. You went to Los Angeles several times doing UFO hunts, and I think you went to Joshua National Tree Park, and that's a place that is many people see UFOs over there. They've even encountered entities over there. So, can you tell us about some of your UFO hunts in Los Angeles?
Sure. Like I concentrate on a triangle of Landers, 29 Palms, and Joshua Tree. A lot of people know about Joshua Tree, but Landers and 29 Palm aren't as pretty, but like it's the desert where you would feel like you could have contact. But the importance is George Van Tassel had the Integratron right there in Landers, which is right by Joshua Tree, and it was had the vortices. It was built right on all the vortices, the most energetic point there. And supposedly he was told by the aliens to put that there. It was an ionizer, negative ionizer, go ahead and heal you. It had no rivets, anything. So that building that he built. So between that city, I would go. It's like a triangle, and nighttime is really active. Daytime, I've seen stuff. You have to really concentrate. You got to have your camera set, because some of that stuff is really fast. There's some fast stuff going if you could catch like that. But the days of like stuff just like hovering and being there, you do have some. I did feel some stuff like that, but you got to catch it different ways.